Hey, have you ever been too afraid to start something, to carry through with something because you feel like you're just not going to be successful? Today, we're going to talk about overcoming fear so that you reach the goals that you have for 2018. Hey, well, welcome to Faith and Fitness Friday again. This is Joe Alvarado. Thank you so much for listening, sharing, commenting. I love doing this, and I hope that you continue to listen because it's so beneficial for us to work together. And especially now that 2017 is ending, we're working on this plan for 2018. And so that way, when we get to the new year, we're ready to go. We're not figuring it all out, or we don't give up. And one of the things we're doing is tackling some of the things that keep us from our plans, because we've all been there before. You know, we talked about the three plans, the types of plans that you plan for: birthdays, weddings, parties, sleepovers with your kids. And those are the plans that work out. And then the unexpected plans. We didn't expect to grow our family. We didn't expect the death in the family. We didn't expect, to lose our jobs. And then there's the plans that we're talking about during this series. And those are the plans that you gave up on, the plans that you wish by now you would have kept, that I wish I would have went to school. I wish I would have saved money. I wish I would have got out of that relationship, or I wish I would have fixed my relationship by now. Those are the plans that we're talking about, because when we get into 2018, it's going to be a great year, all because we're focused now. We're overcoming and tackling some of the topics and some of the things that overtake you and keep you from carrying on your plans. And so today we're going to talk about fear. And I don't know about you, but fear has been something that has been very difficult for me in my life. I have let so many opportunities pass me by because I was so afraid to try it, so afraid to jump, so afraid to just take a chance. And I don't know about you, but fear is something that has held me back. And I don't want that to hold you back from the goals and the plans that God has put in your heart for 2018. And so what fears do you have? Let's just start right there. What kind of fears do you have? Could it be loneliness? I mean, there's so many songs out there. I was doing research and I'm like, man, there's so many songs about loneliness. You're afraid to be lonely, so you stay in relationships you shouldn't. You're afraid to be lonely, so you talk to the people you shouldn't, or you go to the places you shouldn't. It's because you're afraid. And some of us were afraid of change. And so when we this idea of changing something next year, it freaks us out. So we like comfortable, we like the same, and change is what's going to keep you. The fear of change is going to keep you from your goal. Let's not let that happen. Some of us, we don't want to be judged. And you think, man, and even when I started this video podcast, I didn't want to be judged. Man, they're going to see me on camera. What if I wear the same shirt? What if? And the idea is, man, I didn't want to be judged, but I just took a chance. And I hope that this is helping you. Some of us, we're afraid to hurt, to be hurt, or to hurt somebody else. So we don't want to leave the situation we should have, because maybe 2018, you're thinking, man, I really got to get out of this relationship. Again, not your marriage, but maybe you're in just an unhealthy situation. And you need to get out of that. Now, if you're in an unhealthy marriage, you need to seek some help for that. But if you're dating somebody and you're in an unhealthy situation, you have to overcome that fear to leave and get yourself into a better place. Or maybe you're afraid to hurt. Maybe there's something you have to confess before you can really clearly go to 2018, and you're afraid to hurt that person. Well, guess what? That's actually going to be better in the end. But fear of hurting or hurting others is something else. Maybe you're afraid of rejection, and this is a huge one. I remember about 7-8 years ago, I actually was driving out north on 144th and I-25, and I saw this big building going up. And a few months later, I saw the big sign, Lifetime Fitness. And I was like, oh my God, this is a huge gym. It's one of those mega gyms that I only read about, right? And so I decided to look into it, and it's a crazy big place. And so I put my email and my information in to be notified when any job positions would open up, because at that time I was teaching cycling classes, and I was over at 24 Hour in Bally's. And I'm like, well, just give it a chance. And so I would get emails over the span of about 5 years saying, hey, cycling, instructor job opening up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, nah, that's for the rock stars. Like, I'm afraid. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to, so I let 5 years go by before I decided to actually apply at Lifetime Fitness. And I wasted so much time because I was I was so afraid to be rejected. And I learned so much from that. Fear can really mess us up. And so there's a story in the Bible where it's another boat story. Jesus is in the boat this time. He's not outside of the boat walking, but he's in the boat. And so they're crossing over. And I want to read this passage to you in Mark chapter 4, because it's really going to help us understand how to overcome some fear and give us some perspective. In Mark chapter 4, verse 35 and on, it says, as evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross to the other side of the lake. And so this is Jesus initiating this trip, right? So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, and keep in mind, they took Jesus, right? They took him with them. Jesus is with them in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. All right. So, but soon, verse 37, a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat and it began to fill with water. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm freaking out about this time, right? So here we go. 38, Jesus, he was sleeping. Can you imagine that? He's sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. Oh, they're about to sink and Jesus is asleep, right? The disciples woke him up shouting, teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown, right? He's like, they're freaking out. Wake up, Jesus, right? Yeah, can you imagine that? And then so when Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, silence, be still. Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, why are you so, what's that word? What is that? Afraid, right? Afraid. Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? And Jesus, he's with them and he's asking them and he's, Jesus is on the boat, right? Jesus, we believe was not only fully man, but fully God. He had control over the elements. He was the Messiah. He was the Savior. He was with them on the boat, and they still freaked out because when trials come and things that freak us out, things that cause fear in our life come, we tend to freak out even though Jesus is there. And one of the things that I want you to realize is this, and this is a great thought to take and screenshot and quote and repost. Don't let the presence of a storm cause you to doubt the presence of God. Right? So when you get to that point next year where you're afraid to take that step, to start that meal plan, to start that workout routine, to initiate talking to your spouse about improving your marriage because it's not doing so well, or to communicate better to your kids, or to start educating yourself, reading that book, and you freak out, it feels like a storm to you. When you get to that point, don't let the presence of a storm or something that freaks you out, that causes fear in your life, to doubt the presence of God. Because just like Jesus was in the boat with the disciples the whole time, Jesus is with you. And so when you get to that point, when you get to the point where you're ready to make that new change in 2018, where you're ready to start, Monday is the day, Jesus is with you. He's with you. God is with you. Don't forget that he is with you. The other thing that I want you to think about from this story is that you're in the storm for a purpose. You're there for a purpose. And here's what I mean by that. Jesus was the one that initiated this trip. He's the one that says, hey, let's get in the boat and cross over. That means that Jesus, he knows everything. We believe that he, again, fully God, fully man, he knew what was about to happen. He knew that they were going to be tested to see if they would freak out, even though Jesus, he himself was there with them. They failed that test. And so you're in the storm for a purpose. You freak out. There's fear that comes into your life, and God uses it to grow your faith. He uses it to build your faith. He uses it. He's there, and he uses it for a purpose. Oftentimes, God will initiate things that will freak you out in order to grow your faith. And here's what I love in James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. Here's what James, this was the half-brother of Jesus, and he said, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind, fears of any kind, we could say, come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. Why? Here's why. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. When your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. One of the things that I tell my people in the class, in my cycling classes, is a lot of times we'll do challenges where they're building endurance, and it's uncomfortable, but they'll have to sit at a certain RPM and output energy for a certain amount of time, all for the sake of building endurance. If you've ever ran a marathon, you got to work up to building endurance to be able to last that whole time. But as you work at it, you build your endurance. And the same thing happens when your faith is tested. You're freaking out. I don't think I can handle this. I don't think I could reach the goal. I don't think I could finish strong. God is saying, hang in there. Hang in there, because when your faith is tested, you're freaking out. Everything feels like it's going to be over with. I'm there, and you're going to be stronger for it. You're going to be able to endure. The next time this happens, it's not even going to be anything because you've done it before, right? You're going to be able to do it again. So again, you can't let fear overtake you. Instead, when your faith is tested, which again, faith and fear, if you're fearful, you don't have faith. But if you have faith, you could overcome the fear. It builds your endurance, and you become stronger as a result of it. So this year, when you get into 2018 and things start to freak you out, remember that your faith is being tested and your endurance is growing stronger. You're going to be able to last. Hey, my name is Joe Alvarado. This is Faith and Fitness Friday. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you.